Welcome to the Urban Aggie. I'm your host, Victoria Carter-Jones. If you tuned in last week, I'd like to thank you for all your wonderful comments for our Book of the Month by Michelle Alexander, entitled The New Jim Crow, Mass Incarceration and the Age of Colorblindness. And if you're tuning in with us today, we have a special guest by the name of Dr. Marlon James, who is one of the newest professors at Texas A&M University in the Department of Urban Education. First and foremost, Dr. James, I just want to thank you for being on the show. I have personally enjoyed several pieces of your work, such as Excellence and Equity, the Research as an Act of Defiance, just to name a few for our guests who are watching. And now, reflecting back on the previous discussion of the challenges in education within the African American community, we discussed high suspensions, high dropout rates, and how they're all linked to the school-to-prison pipeline. Can you go into further explanation of those challenges, specifically with African American boys?
Our entire set of challenges that African American males are faced with is due to a lack of understanding of who they are and how they develop into strong, healthy, respectful, social justice-centered men. The challenge, however, is us studying the school-to-prison pipeline. That's important, but us studying the school-to-prison pipeline will never help us to achieve an understanding of that end goal, respect, and to become. Studying failure cannot help us to deduce how to create successful men. It's only through studying successful men at various levels that we can understand how to develop a model for the social, cultural, spiritual, academic development.
Speaking of success, Dr. James, you've taken it upon yourself to observe and collect multiple stories of successful Black men and developed a model which helps resist stereotyping among African American males. Share with us some of your findings.
What we discovered is that when you compare all of these gentlemen's stories, there's a model that emerges. We call that model the spark of Black male genius. It's a developmental model that tells us what types of experiences, what types of supports, what types of challenges, what types of internal and external resources do men galvanize to promote their own success.
Wow. It's amazing to see how much information you can collect just through stories. Unfortunately, Dr. James, our time is almost up, but before we leave, can you share with us a little bit more about the process of the Spark and how long it took you to develop?
So we began that process about 5 years ago, where myself and Chance Lewis decided to convene a study, not looking at the failures, but looking at how do Black men who've achieved the highest levels in education explain their educational successes and life successes. We put a special issue together. We had 50 men submit their autoethnographies. It's basically a critical analysis of self. And what we discovered, we eventually selected 12 of them, and it came out last year in a special issue of the Journal of African American Males in Education.
Well, there you have it, folks, the spark of the Black male genius. Once again, I'd like to thank you, Dr. James, for joining us on the show. And if you're viewing us right now and didn't get to hear the entire program, you can read more about the spark of the Black male genius at www.journalofafricanamericanmales.com or www.transform.tamu.edu. Keywords: identifying the 5 markers of genius in Black men. And don't forget to tune in next week with our exciting topic of culturally responsive schools and community partnerships with featured guest Dr. Gwendolyn Webb-Hasan. I'm Victoria Carter, and this is the Urban Aggie. Thanks for watching.